I think you can say that Haiti was a man-made disaster. The effects of the earthquake were so bad because Haiti was in such a bad situation before the earthquake. Quality of building was low, the awareness of what to do in an earthquake was incredibly low, and the ability of the existing emergency services to respond was incredibly low. Incredibly low resources to call on in such a huge disaster. That is going to take years, decades to put right. The Haiti earthquake happened in January 2010, and the Red Cross began responding immediately. The Haitian Red Cross volunteers were responding in their communities immediately after the earthquake. There were Red Cross teams internationally already in the country who were already working on projects there, so they began responding immediately as well. And within days, teams from the British Red Cross were on the ground helping get aid into the country and get that aid to people who needed it. I arrived in Haiti approximately 2 months after the earthquake had happened. Flying into Haiti the first time I arrived, what you could see was patches of blue tarpaulins that had been given to people, and any open flat space had been turned into a settlement. Some places maybe 5, 10 families, other places tens of thousands of people all living together in these very cramped temporary shelters. It wasn't a nice place to live. I mean, people were getting on with their lives, but the thought of actually having to live there was pretty horrendous. My role was working with it was called the shelter cluster, to, I suppose, help people understand what had happened and how the Red Cross was responding. The scale of the operation was absolutely huge, mind-boggling. You're talking about millions of people. Pretty much the entire city, so I think 6–8 million people who didn't have a home. The scale of the response in Haiti was absolutely enormous. Red Cross teams from all over the world responding. There was expertise brought in from right around the globe. There's universal recognition of the Red Cross emblem, and people know that if they see the Red Cross emblem, then people are there to help them. Just driving through town, a lot of the roads were still blocked, and then every time you come to an open space, there's another camp, there's another little community, and this is every single block. So you really get a sense of a city that's really been destroyed, and that's quite a shocking thing when you see it on a human level. You've seen it on TV, but when you actually see it for the first time, it's really pretty shocking, because then you start thinking about, well, if something like this happened in the UK, if something like this happened to London, how would we all cope? When I returned to Haiti 2 years later, the improvement, the recovery was striking. The roads were flowing a lot more freely, and a lot of the camps that had been at the side of the roads or in little town squares, a lot of those had gone. You could see real improvement straight away, and real improvement in people's lives. People had moved back into their homes, and they were really starting to rebuild their lives and have normal lives again. But you would still get people who hadn't been to Haiti, hadn't seen the situation before, who would come into Haiti for the first time, and people would say, oh, things are still terrible, people haven't done anything, why is the place still a mess? Whereas in fact a lot had actually been done, a lot had been achieved, but Haiti was an emergency before the earthquake happened. It was maybe a wake-up call to the rest of the world, what was happening in Haiti and the desperate situation people were in. In Japan, for example, and the tsunami was a horrendous disaster, but almost all the damage was done by the tsunami. The earthquake itself was one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded. No buildings came down. And so the resilience in a developed country like Japan is just so much higher. As well as the immediate relief, the Red Cross has also embedded itself within communities in Haiti, really looking at the fundamental issues that have made people vulnerable to this kind of disaster. So whether that's fixing a drain so that water goes through the community when it rains rather than flooding it, looking at the livelihoods and the jobs that people have and supporting people to develop those jobs and creating employment within the community, or whether that's just, you know, awareness of what to do when an earthquake happens or when a flood happens. The Red Cross has really taken a very broad view of how to build resilience and try and ensure that, you know, the next time there's an emergency, we're not looking at another Haiti.